Thank you, Ola. So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining for this interesting conversations that we have prepared for you. Today we are featuring Abigail Hoover, Logan Ford, Aleksandra, and Katherine. So they will talk about us. Talk with us about their projects. I'm sorry. The feathers are kind of complicated to talk with. Okay, well, let's go continue. So this event is going to be recorded, as you already saw. So please just enjoy yourself. You are free. You're welcome to put your cameras on or off as you prefer. You already were given the Zoom backgrounds if you want to join the party. Please mute yourself during the presentations and write your questions. So after the presentations, you can have some questions to the presenters. Oh, I'm eating feathers. Oh, so Ola, the stage is for you.
Yeah, I have no feathers, and I'll just do a very quick introduction because you guys have seen it many times probably as well. But for those of you who are joining for the first time, so Designers in Space Community, it's an initiative really to, promote strategic use of design within the space sector and all what it comes with it. So user centricity, and we are trying to, make it this transformation from within the space sector. Next slide. We are bringing together creatives, creative profiles. We are very open to all the creative profiles and space professionals who also want to do things a little bit differently and want to bring change by design. And we do events. We go to conferences, both design conferences when we speak about space to designers, which is always easier. And then the space conferences when we speak about design to space professionals, which is a little bit more challenging, but it's still fun and very interesting conversations there. So yeah, next one. Some of the stuff that we are doing, bringing together and designer space professionals. Actually, you can put the next slide because it's more stuff that we are doing. We have this WhatsApp group. We are going to share the link later on as well. If you are not in there, you should be, because there's a lot of interesting conversations going on. We go to conferences, we promote job opportunities, we have a newsletter, social media, so please follow us. We have also Medium. We regularly post articles from our members. So yeah, please follow us on there if you want to know more. Okay. This is the Medium, Designers in Space Community. And these are all the links. So for the membership form to receive the newsletter, you have to fill that in just to give some basic information, and you will be there on our list, and the DiSCO members WhatsApp group to join the conversation, and all the other social media on the left. So that's it. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ola. So welcome. As some of you may already know, DiSCO Party is one of the events that DiSC community prepares. This one is a bit more informal. It's just about sharing our experiences, the projects that we are on. So everybody in the community is welcome. If you are interested into participating in the next edition, please send a message or ask in the group chat, in the WhatsApp group chat, to just join. I'm interested, and you're welcome. Yeah, so this is about being fun, being creative, and just talk with each other. The format here is that the designers are going to have from 5 to 7 minutes to present. And after each presentation, there will be a 2-minute Q&A session. So please feel free to ask after each presentation. So write down your questions and then just take the mic. Today we are joined by Katherine Bjelke. She's going to talk about designing beyond Earth. Abigail Hoover, design parameters in outer space. Aleksandra, she's going to talk about Age of the Moon. And Logan Ford is going to talk about, Dorian Ford and his partner, Dorian Busson, is going to talk about Federation Open Space Makers. And well, your hosts are Ola as well. She's also presenting, and me, Gauri Becerril. So nice to meet you all if you don't know me yet. So we'll stop the music and we'll start with you, Katherine. You have mic, and just let me know when I continue with the presentation.
Hello. For you guys that don't know me, I'm Katherine. I'm Spanish. I live in Denmark, and I've been with graphic designer / illustrator for the past 7 years in the space community and science community. But I'm here to talk mainly about like the projects that I like the most, especially Interstellar Foundation, which is a project I'm working currently in. If you go to the next one. Thank you. So Interstellar Foundation, I'm not sure how many of you or know the Golden Record. I'm assuming a lot of you know. But if you don't, the Golden Record was an initiative from a few years ago, as in 50 or 60 years ago, where they just send a record to space inside the private the Voyager, filled with greetings from humans, music from humans, art, um, everything around the. It's basically a message in a bottle to space from humanity. So Interstellar Foundation was formed because of that, and it's trying to do the next generation of the Golden Record. Sort of, we have new technology, we come a long time, and the problem with the Golden Record was that it was made by a very small group of people. We're trying to do the same thing, but with a broad perspective, trying to include diversity, trying to incorporate questions like, should we send DNA to space to see if someone catches to incorporate an archive of humanity instead of just a collection of music or things like that. But it's also, if you go to the next slide, sorry. Yeah, but it's mainly an initiative to sort of gather inspiration about space in the community. We have seen a surge of STEM careers and a lot of people interested in science, but also about like hardcore sciences, not really the humanities part of it. So we're trying to clash the two things together and don't forget the human aspects in space as we go along. So we have a lot of projects in between the foundation. So it's not just sending the next Golden Record to space and all these questions, but also working with universities. Right now we're working with some schools in Nigeria and Kenya and trying to collaborate with them sort of with astronomy and things like that. And as a designer, it's been really fun to sort of mix these two things together. I'm a graphic designer. I'm not going to do the whole thinking about PhD thinking of what we should convey to people or other civilizations and things like that. But it's so nice if you go to the next slide, for example. Here, I'm mainly in charge of doing the infographics, doing the branding that we had, doing that, come up with questions or trying to reach the public and trying to get the human aspects back together. So this is an infographic that I did about the Golden Record, and it was so fun to not only explain the science part of it, but also explain that they also included a love story, or one of the love stories that the people working on the Golden Record had. Dorian was one of the person working on the Golden Record, and when she recorded her brainwaves, she had this idea of thinking about human history or politics and things like that. But she was so madly in love with Carl Sagan at the time, the other person working the Golden Record, that she only could think about their love story together. And that they decided to keep it and they sent that to space. So that's one of the teeny tiny things that I love about space is the human connection that we create. So I'm very happy to work in projects like this that we can sort of encompass a lot of things and that has a deep focus on mixing space with humanity and science with humanity and not just one or the other. So it's been really fun. Then now, if you go to the next slide, all right, the other one. There you go. The other thing I'm very proud of is, yeah, you can go. That one. I'm working with the Observatory of Tenerife, and one of the things I get most questions about is why should we care about space when Earth is so badly shaped, or we have problems like climate change and things like that. So Drago 2 is a camera that works looking back to Earth and tackling problems like climate change and the monitorization of volcanic activity or desertification or fire control, things like that. So working in projects like this helps me reach the public, sort of to explain to them how much space research can help tackle problems on Earth. And it's also, again, that mixed feeling of imagine if we can tackle the terraforming of Mars, that could help us every part of the way to understand problems like climate change later. Cameras like this and satellites like this will help us tackle a lot of things too. So it's really fun for me as a designer to being able to, through infographics and graphics, and make things fun and understandable to reach the public so they know the importance that space can have towards us, not just to, yeah, the images are pretty, but what do I care about? So working in projects like this, it's really fun to do. If you go to the next one, yeah, that's the other infographic. Go next. Yeah. I wanted to, because it's fun, just because of that. I've been doing a lot of mission patches lately. I've seen a search on mission patches as the branding tool. They had a search again, and it's been really fun to work with those brands and companies that put in a lot of effort now. And they're moving a lot towards minimalism, which you cannot see in those too much, and being very illustrative. As a fun fact, those two on the right, I cannot differentiate left and right, is actually for a design conference, not really for any space company, but they also, all the places, not just space companies, are also going into patches, and the design was very like futuristic, space, AI type of thing. And then I was commissioned to sort of doing a patch for them. That's the design for the future. If you see on top of it, the star on the top is encompassed by some vector anchors. If you're a graphic designer, you will understand the reference. If not, then that is for you. And then next, that is my personal project. I'm still an illustrator at my heart. So I love to get like the human stories in science and try to illustrate them the best as I can. And it helped me reach also a lot of space nerds. Like this is based on the Galilean moons from Galileo Galilei. It's his notebook. He wrote. He basically sat in front of his window and then do some drawings about how the moons of Jupiter were moving. That is sort of the base of the poster. And then if you go to the next one, those are also, golden record Voyager. I love the story. The love story got me. The fact that you have auroras also in another planet, the James Webb Telescope, and how we can see to the past the spatial International Space Station. We all love it. It's a bit of humanity on top of Earth as living in space. How can be cooler than that? And then Hayabusa 2, there was a mission from JAXA, and that's what sort of a missing from, for example, European Space Agency or NASA, something like that. Hayabusa 2 has so much mythology behind from Japan, and they have a full story about the name of it, and I will show you later if you guys can contact me, but it has a full story about a dragon living underneath the ocean and a princess going to there. So many things that just capture my imagination, and I wanted to do something like that. But that's sort of who I am and what I'm doing and some of the projects I'm working. If you guys want to contact, and feel free. But I hope you like it, and I hope I did not take more than 5 minutes. I do talk very fast. I'll try my best.
Thank you, Katherine. Actually,
You're
it was
welcome.
a bit more than 7 minutes, but don't worry. So, guys, we have the chance to ask questions to Katherine. So we have 2 minutes. Is there any questions right now? Please take the floor because I
There's
cannot see.
one in the chat from Abigail. So do you have a favorite part of the original golden record that may be translated to the new version? It's a very cool project. Have you seen themes indicating our perception on Earth has changed since the 70s? It's in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I do. We have a lot more work towards diversity. One of the things that I'm working on the Golden Record is stories. We are recollecting stories around Earth from people, just explaining a bit of their lives. And that's, I think it capsules a bit more of what we're trying to do, the diversity of it. But if I had to keep something about the Golden Record, the original one will be the map of where Earth is located in space. So at the end of it, there is the representation of the pulsar, and that is the map of where we are. Sort of want to have tattoo that here somewhere, because it's where we are. It's us. And I think it's just a personal favorite of mine, so I will keep that probably.
Thank you, Katherine. Muchas gracias. So
De nada.
nice. So we will continue with Abigail. You have the mic.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak to you all today. Like mentioned, my name's Abigail. I am from Canada, and this project is outlining a year-long study that I worked on last year, isolating the human-centered design parameters considered in outer space. Next slide. So a bit about me is I am an industrial designer by trade. However, I have had the opportunity to work on a few aerospace missions, primarily in assembly, integration, and testing of the satellites, operations, and as of late, project management. Next slide. A part of my graduate studies, I'm currently studying at the Royal College of Art and Imperial College London, in London. But part of my program called Global Innovation Design is we get to conduct and learn about cultural research and design all around the world. And then we get to apply those skills to larger scale engineering design projects. And in the case of me, that's looking at applying space-based resources to forward cultural sustainability and environmental sustainability as a result on Earth. Next slide. And as I attend more of these talks, I guess something that I'm learning is I really desire to know a little bit more about why all of us do the brilliant things that we do. And so I guess just a bit about myself is I'm very fortunate to have grown up around the Canadian Rockies, and my industrial design has always been fueled by environmental sustainability. And it's as of late in the past 2 or 3 years that I've really looked at cultural sustainability, and I think it's a brilliant field, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about it. Next slide. So this study that I conducted as a part of my graduate studies looked at the investigation and analysis of design parameters considered by aerospace experts in determining current products, services, and systems. And so I really wanted to look at understanding the human-centered frameworks and restraints that these individuals utilize when looking at space products and systems, and the emerging trends that they see in how human-centered design potentially has a role in that, if any, and what we could do better to help those systems in the future. Next slide. So this doesn't really need to be said, and I think for the sake of time, maybe we just skip over it, but we all know the space industry is incredibly growing, and it's really important to start looking at these considerations. And as a young designer wanting to enter the industry at some point, I thought this was very a relevant time to look at these parameters and see how design could fit in it from my experiences. Next slide. And so a bit about the methodology, next slide, please, is the participant selection was looking at interviewing a range of space experts from policy, design, business, academia, and potentially even astronauts. And part of our studies is we were focused to areas of Japan, Europe, the USA, and Canada. However, a future step could be expanding this to all of the other countries that are participating in space-based activities. And then, of course, another limitation was there was an English proficiency as well that needed to be considered. And so that's kind of how these individuals were chosen. Next slide. And the end result was a series of 8 interviews. There was a strong dispersion of interviewees across Canada, the States, Europe, and Japan, and all covering these areas. And so I was quite pleased with the areas that we got to speak on and the really unique insights each one of these different subsectors of space brought towards kind of the themes of human-centered design in space. Next slide. And so all of these insights were eventually coded and synthesized into key themes. Next slide. And the insights were large and spanning multiple facets, things such as the desperate need or desire for policy and governance in space, except the kind of roadblocks and kind of almost stalemate of that being developed. This unfortunate trend of potential space violence becoming more of an issue, juxtaposed with the massive growing desire to engage general public more and citizen science more, especially with the large scale open resources available in space, in Earth observation even, for example. Next slide. When you look at design in the context of space, there was a few key themes that I thought were very interesting and how they kind of transcended on what these people thought human-centered designers' role was. Overarchingly, there was the vast majority saw space was changing and there was a new need for restructuring to fit these new emerging space segments and the needs for more human-centered or commercial-driven needs. Next slide. I was very surprised, though, on the language used for more of a need to focus on the user. And I think what's really interesting in is the past, the term user in space didn't necessarily mean the end person using your product. Sometimes it could be a university or government or an institution or a larger scale thing. And so this is starting to change, and the definition of user, I think, is also starting to be more adapted to the context that we're maybe more familiar with it, and that looking at creating systems more functional for the end person. Next slide. This was also very interesting because when proposing the idea of human-centered design to help strategize and benefit some of these systems to help end users, many of them were actually unaware, unless they came from a design background, because we did talk to a few from the design fields, were unaware of kind of human-centered design's benefit for it. And I think that maybe could be the fact that, as highlighted in one of the interviews, the idea of actually with a DiSC member, the idea of users design is multifaceted in space and highly technical. And it's not necessarily equated to end human-focused intervention. And then also in contrast to that, there was this idea that talent coming into the space pool needed to be more diversified to fit those needs. Next slide. And so finally, I'll just end here because I am short on time. There was a final trend that was isolated, and that was this idea of validation and this need for space before they kind of accept new practices was to be able to trust and understand that practices need to be proven and what are they really going to gain. So there's kind of a chicken or egg scenario here where human-centered designers know that they can impact it, but we face large technical and access opportunities, and then space knows that they want to adjust to these changes, but maybe need to trust human-centered design a little bit more. And so with that, I'll finish off this presentation, and thank you so much. Yes, so there was a lot more. I'm learning to, maybe 7 minutes was a bit ambitious.
Thank you, Abigail. But it is really interesting. So thank you very much. Do you guys have any question for Abigail?
I do have one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned the challenge of the discipline of user-centered design to be validated and accepted by people working in the space industry. Do you think that it's some type of accreditation that needs to come from space industry, institutional companies themselves? Like, how do you see this trust to be, let's say,
That's a really good question. And I feel like I was actually going to address it in the second half of the presentation, but the designed output was kind of creating a low risk situation to where human-centered designers could work on tangible space projects so that industry could kind of see the contributions. And if they were curious about incorporating human-centered design, they could see the practices and the benefits that they would bring. And then on the flip side, it also enables designers to develop that, I guess, technical jargon and understanding of space dynamics. And so looking at maybe developing more of like an institutional program or something like that, I think could be worthwhile. And that's actually something I presented these findings at the World Design Organization's World Design Assembly in Tokyo last week. And a few institutions came up afterwards saying, we're actually building graduate programs for human-centered design in space. So I think they're close to becoming a thing, which is very exciting. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. But I think you also just the chicken situation again. So I understood. Thanks.
Thank you. And a quick question, Abigail. Is there a place where we can read your research, or we can find more about that?
Absolutely. So there will be a paper published with the World Design Assembly. And so I think that will be released in December. I think they said end of December is maybe when they'll be sending it out. So I can throw it into the WhatsApp group after that's released. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So those are really interesting conversations that need to be happening. So, there's an addition problem there, but there's a name double that. Thank you very much. So we go with you, Ola. So you take the mic.
Just wanted to comment that education is super important as well for any kind of transformation. So yeah, probably it's very, very, very interesting and critical. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Aleksandra/Ola Kozawska. I'm also co-founder of the Designers in Space community of ODIS, and I'm also service designer, strategy designer, and product director working in the space industry. So I'm going to talk about a different project today to you, actually, which is Age of the Moon, which is a board game that I've been part of, like a kind of side project or activity for a couple of years now. And we have some pretty exciting news because this is going to be actually a project and a product that we are going to go public into the market soon. So I wanted to kind of present it to you. So the context a little bit, where all of this is coming from. So, as you know, we are in a very exciting era of the new moon race. I guess everyone knows the history of, humanity trying to get to the moon from the 20th century. When we have, Apollo program, everyone knows about this, the USSR, Soviet Union trying to get to the moon as well, and successfully also landing. And then we have, 21st century attempts, although there was a break in between around 40 years when nothing really happens. And recently it's becoming even more exciting. And again, because as you probably heard on the news, there's quite a few attempts to land on the moon, some of them less successful, recently more successful of the Indian lander as well. So as you can see, a lot of countries and much more countries than last time are trying to get to the moon, and it's a kind of a high stake race. Next slide. So in this kind of context, we are kind of positioning our game because all these kind of countries and also companies, which is different from what it was before, are trying to reach to the moon. The International Space Station kind of winds down. So again, moon is appearing as a new high stakes destination for all these players. And especially it's interesting because they are trying to target this time the south pole of the moon. So we have a kind of relatively limited area where all these kind of players are trying to get to. And it's just kind of interesting because if you think about it, are they going to collaborate or compete when they get there? Who is going to be the first one? What's going to be the impact of this? It's going to shift some sort of geopolitical power or international prestige for these countries that are going to achieve to have humans on the moon again or build successfully the moon base. Next slide. And this is kind of a nice representation of how it was before, where it's pretty kind of 2 players, whereas now it's getting pretty crowded, also with the private actors. And this is the context where this game was created, because we kind of trying to simulate this dynamic of many actors, many players going to the South Pole of the moon. And this is where Age of the Moon is positioning itself. This is the game for up to 4 players, so not maybe that many as we have right now in reality, but it can be also played in teams, which is pretty fun. It's for adult players, so more than 16 years old. There's no upper limit, and it takes around 2 hours to play as well. Okay, next slide. And the core team, actually, there are a lot of people who are contributing to the creation of the game. I cannot credit them all here because we don't have much time, but let's say the project is now led by Mohammed / Momo and myself. We met at the SSP during the International Space University Space Studies program. And we kind of working on this project together, and we have support from Bubble Studios. Perhaps some of you know them. They are based in the US. They help us with the graphic. Okay, next slide. And yeah, we started this in 2020 as part of Space Generation Advisory Council work group, which initially was actually about lunar architecture, but instead of constructing or designing another lunar base, which, you know, we felt like, okay, there are so many cool designs of lunar bases. What can we do else about that? We started looking into these dynamics now of different stakeholders and scenarios of collaboration and conflict, and how the actual fact of so many stakeholders trying to construct in this race a moon base is impacting the geopolitical kind of scenarios and diplomacy in a way. So we said, okay, the most kind of fun around this is to simulate how it would look. So we did some actually proper research with stakeholders and experts from the industry. And based on that, we designed this simulation game. So everything that you see in the game is actually based on the real findings, the real kind of research, and it actually could happen in reality. So this kind of, sort of this educational part of the game, where I don't like the word educational because it seems like it's for, I don't know, school kids or something, but it's true that it's really fun to play that game, but at the same time, you're actually seeing what could happen and play with the real elements of the infrastructure of a moon base. And yeah, we did like a first iteration. We did a beta workshop in Dubai in 2021 during IAC as a special session. That was the first version of the game. And right now we are, we have a ready second iteration of the game, which is up to 4 players or teams. And we are going to take it to the market, hopefully. Next slide. Some photos from the previous workshops. The next one that we are going to do is going to be in Spain, in Barcelona, in November, 17th of November. If anyone is going for the SG event in Barcelona, you will see us there, and I'll be happy to show you around the game as well. Next one. So as we said, this also can be played as a workshop, which is really fun because this is kind of where this also, design facilitation and design thinking comes into play, because it's much more fun than playing individually, which also you can do. But here you have this interesting dynamics of people playing as teams or nations or companies, kind of competing with each other, negotiating, building, constructing their strategy, doing this collaborative problem solving within this unique context. And they really get into these roles of kind of leaders of their companies trying to construct them on base. It's really fun to see. And yeah, eventually it's a team building exercise as well, can be used as such. So it's really fun. Okay, next. And yeah, we are targeting, our early adopters, let's say, are space professionals, students, young space professionals, because obviously this is done by space professionals in a way for the community of space. But in general, we have also interest from, board games enthusiasts, board gaming societies, and from crowdfunding supporters, because this is actually how we are going to publish the game through Kickstarter. Next slide. And this is a little bit of a timeline. So right now, we did kind of initial research. We did selection of manufacturer. We're planning the campaign right now, and hopefully at beginning of December we will launch the campaign of Kickstarter. So you can please follow us for the updates as well. And later on next year we will be shipping and manufacturing and shipping. Okay, next slide. Just a little bit of an overview of the game elements. So yeah, eventually the idea is also to have some these 3D elements that we can actually feel more in a more tangible way, the way you are constructing the base. Yeah, series of cards. I'm not going into the detail because we don't have time, but just to give you a sense of, you know, kind of a finishing and the quality of the renders actually that Bubble was helping us to do, because it was kind of a big exercise. Like these days you can so easily do renders with like AI and stuff like this, but you know, this was really a big effort from like a scientific point of view of Momo, and Bubble from the creative point of view as well, of kind of bringing this vision together of this, you know, constructing this lunar base all together. So it's pretty exciting to see it coming together. And yeah, so you can please follow us on the social media, Instagram above all. Next slide. There is also, if you go to the next slide, there's also, no, okay, next slide once again. Yeah, subscription form if you wanna get notified when we go live. Yeah, you'll be notified in the first priority. So yeah, please do, because I think it's an exciting project. And apart from being a fun game, it's also pretty much the mission is increasing the awareness of the opportunities and potential challenges of the moon exploration and expansion of humanity on the moon. So yeah, happy to welcome any questions. I don't know if that was too long.
Just a little bit over the 7 minutes, but it's okay.
Yay! Good.
Thank you very much, Ola. Is there any question here for Ola, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a...
Sorry.
Oh,
go
we
for
have
it, go
two
for it.
questions. Go, Hugo,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, Hugo. Thank you very much. Actually, this is amazing to see. I'm working at the French Space Agency, and this is some subject that we were working on. So it's like so straight to the point, or get on the point. And I was actually thinking about like, do you think to maybe collecting some data about the game that the people are going to play or something like that, in order to, I don't know, use it for space agency, or like having kind of a worldwide workshop type through this game, or isn't it the goal?
Oh yeah, that would be amazing, like a hackathon or kind of gaming worldwide. I mean, yes, potentially yes, because again, this workshop and this game was originated as part of the research group with SGAC. So initial idea was also to use it as a research tool. So that's true. We didn't do much of this because we perhaps didn't get the research. I mean, we did the research for the game, but not that much research constructed in a proper way of the results of the game. This is something we have in mind that it could be interesting. But for now, we were kind of focusing of just getting the game ready and taking it to the shape and to the market. But that's something we are also thinking about and discussing, that it will be super valuable, because actually, yes, we are doing workshops with both space professionals and space experts, but also general public. So actually, also comparing this kind of groups depends on who plays the game, who's the participant. You can get probably different conclusions from that. So yeah, we are working right now on kind of putting like a package for the workshop, kind of a structure to the workshop itself, not just having people play and that's it, but we are actually thinking about putting some sort of more structured approach to the workshop, so we can also introduce this sort of tracking and eventually get some conclusions from that. Yeah, if you're interested, just reach out and we can talk about it.
It's really on point. On we are actually doing a workshop with interdisciplinary people coming from all the background at the end of November in Paris. And while I was doing some with some engineers as a designer, this was, I don't know about you guys, but this was a nightmare to do. Like, and I've tried to create this kind of game with some card of some artifact that you can bring on the moon, and this was the only way to work it. So actually, this is the perfect thing, not just for game, but also for work to allow people to create. So Yeah, thank you very much. It's amazing to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's go really quick with a Kushi question, and then we'll proceed with the next presenter.
Yeah. Thanks for your presentation, Ola. So I had a question about there's going to be traffic in the cislunar space, right, in the next few years. So in any way, would the game kind of like address the on-orbit stuff that will happen?
Yeah. We have the orbiters as well. So you have also in surface assets and in orbit assets, which are usually kind of, I will not reveal much in the game structure yet, but yeah, you can buy orbital assets, and later you land and go to. I mean, it's pretty realistic in that sense. Also, have rockets that fail and things like this. So, in a way, it's kind of really planning the way you also plan the mission and elements you need to have in order to construct the base that can be habitable in the end. So. That's the goal of the game, to build a habitable base. But in order to do that, you have different elements, and one of those it's also orbiters and things in orbit. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Koshi. Thank you very much, Hugo, and thank you very much, Ola. And I mean, this is coming from experience, but this is an amazing game, and we really looking forward to play it. It will be nice to have a session with the community, so they could participate, Ola, maybe later on.
Yeah, definitely.
And for now, we have Logan 4 and Dorian. So you have the space. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can share your screen, Logan.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Let's see. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep, perfect. Yes. Okay. Thank you for inviting us today. It's a great pleasure. Today we're going to present our association named Federation Open Space Makers. It's the association where we are in. My name is Logan 4. I'm a fourth-year student at Estaca. It's a top engineering school in France. And
with Logan, I'm Dorian. I'm the head of communication at Federation.
We can hear you, Dorian.
Oh, you can't hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm the head of communication at Federation Open Space Makers, and I'm a young mechanical engineer in the space industry at MySpace. And so, like Logan said, we're going to present you Federation Open Space Makers. Next slide.
Sorry, I had a problem. I'm here.
Federation of Space Makers is an initiative that has been initiated by the CNES in 2018 with the main goal of creating a platform to encourage anybody who would like to start a project related to space. So this project will be open source, which will allow the development of skilled knowledge in a collaborative and open manners. So this goes through having a website that have sort of a role of a virtual Fab Lab, and I'm going to let Logan continue about that.
So yeah, Federation Open Space Makers uses several tools to complete this project. With the help of open source tools, this platform becomes a kind of virtual Fab Lab for sharing, managing, developing, and documenting projects. For example, we are using Nextcloud for file sharing, or Rocket Chat for better communicate with the other members. And one last example is GitLab, which is software where you can share your code, so of the programs we are currently developing. This infrastructure allows members to better manage their projects and communicate with others. In France, we have the chance to have many Fab Labs. There are places where you can build and experiment, for example, parts of rockets. And the Federation is here to connect them and develop an ecosystem to regroup all the space enthusiasts that wants to create a project.
Yeah, so like we said before, one of the key goals of Federation is to having a platform where anyone can create or propose a project. And so to give you some example of what you can already find on the platform, we have, for example, one of our main projects, which is Adastra, which has for purpose to develop sending rockets. With the long-term goal of developing key brick technologies to build a micro launcher. So it goes through developing avionics, guided navigation softwares, the mechanical structure, and pretty much all the stuff you need to build a rocket. Another project which is quite related to the previous one is Eve, which wants to develop the first open source liquid rocket engine working with methane and oxygen with a nominal thrust of 1 kilonewton. So you see that it kind of creates a whole ecosystem where all the projects try to work together. But I talk a lot about rockets, and I think Logan have other things to show.
Yes, thank you, Dorian. We also develop projects that are more payload oriented. For example, Phoenix, it's a project that I used to work on. It's about create a constellation of satellites like Starlink, but more for European use. So we could give a service of communicating with a satellite customer at any time, everywhere, because a constellation has nodes, so the information can go from points to point, and so it's pretty convenient. We have also one last example of the project that we are currently doing. It's Mars Proof. It's about designing a CubeSat that could extract space resources like water, propellants, and create materials from lunar dust.
Yeah, and so one of the reasons we're here today is we try to develop as much our network as possible. And it goes through having some collaboration with different kind of engineering schools and universities. So it allows us to propose to all the students to participate to these projects and develop the skill and knowledge, and also develop all these open source technologies. We also try to be present on different kind of space events, such as the Summer Space Festival or the SpaceCon, if you already heard of them. So it allows the community of Federation to meet in place and spend some time together. You can continue.
Yeah. So Federation is initially a French organization, but we are trying to open and tend to a more worldwide community. So we imagine a future where we could work with designers in the space community. I think it would be a great opportunity and also a cultural exchange. I saw that we have the same goals about opening the space field for a greater public. And so we could, for example, create new projects in collaboration or share knowledge that we currently have. So it could be a great thing.
Yeah, like you said, Logan, Federation of Space Makers has been initiated by the French Space Agency, by French people. And so all of this is very French, but it's not in the DNA of Federation to stay that way. We try to open as much to an international community. And so to do that, for example, we have some projects that try to communicate as much as possible in English than in any other languages. Such as Eve that I presented before. So you're very welcome to take a look and to check all the project or to propose some of them. It's really the objective of Federation for people to share their ideas, to meet other people that will be interested into starting something together. For example, I would like to make a lunar rover, and but I don't know who will be interested to. When Federation is a place to go to take a look and to say the message, and maybe you will find some other people that will be interested too. So feel free to take a look at our website. You have the QR code and the link, and you can also follow us on our different social media, such as Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook. So I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and feel free to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. This is really interesting, and I hope we can make collaboration soon. So taking into account that you are here, guys, do you have any questions for them about their community, about their projects? Oh, okay. So I think maybe later
I'll
on.
just, I don't know if you were mentioning you're mentioning there's like a network of Fab Labs in Europe, but that you are also sponsored, they originate in CNES, so you're based in France. What other countries do you operate in, or you are kind of, because you're operating in English, so I understand that it's also expanding, no, a little bit.
Well, we're trying to, so it's not always easy, but we have some people that comes from Canada, Italy, and I don't remember, but for now it's like I said, it's very French located. But this is a goal of Federation to expand a little bit and to propose to some Fab Labs from other countries or universities from other countries to join the adventure and to participate or to propose different projects on the platform.
Yeah, I think it's like a next step of Federation to be more worldwide. We could have a better knowledge, and I think it would be interesting to find out new methods of work, for example. So yeah, we're trying to do that.
Yeah, perhaps like match with some similar organizations, perhaps, I don't know if space focused on space, but similar focus abroad, and partner with them as well would be interesting. Some Fab Labs abroad working with space.
Yeah, you have, for example, the Liberspace community, Liberspace Foundation, in Greece that is doing quite interesting stuff about SatNog, for example, if you want to take a look, which is an open network of ground station for satellites. So this is the kind of thing that we try to collaborate with.
Nice.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys, and thank you very much for thinking about our community. This is a really new community that Aleksandra and the co-founders just put together, which give us a space for the creatives and the designers to come together. So thank you very much for taking into account the crazy minds of the community, so we can collaborate in the future. Thank you very much.
Let's take a photo before we split.
Yes.
Maybe, Gaudi, if you can stop sharing for a moment, I'll take a photo. So everyone put your scary faces.
Oh, yeah. the ears.
3, 2, wait a second. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you, guys. We've got it.
Thank you very much. So when it's just one last slide, it was just about like joining
you can
the
put it up.
community.
Yeah, you can put it up. And I'll stop recording here.
So
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you
you
very much for the presenters.